Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next hour. Voting for parliamentary elections concludes in Sri Lanka. Final result likely to be announced tomorrow. US President-elect Donald Trump picks former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence. Dominica announces the highest national honour for India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his contribution during the COVID-19 pandemic. And India's Commission for Air Quality Management imposes Stage 3 of the revised Graded Response Action Plan in the entire National Capital Region from tomorrow. Voting for parliamentary elections concluded in Sri Lanka with a turnout of around 65%. The final result is likely to be announced on Friday as per the poll body. The ballot boxes will be shifted to the counting centres on Thursday evening, where vote counting is underway. President Anura Kumara Dissanayake, Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuraya, former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, SJB leader Sajith Premadasa all cast their votes earlier this morning. Voters exercised their right to vote at over 13,400 polling centres from 7 a.m. till 4 p.m. Voting was peaceful and no incidents were reported from across the island nation. The elections are important as they are expected to completely redefine the political landscape of Sri Lanka. Outgoing US President Joe Biden and President-elect Donald Trump met for a traditional transition meeting on Wednesday at the White House. The meeting lasted for 2 hours. DD India's Antra Sinha gets you more on how it unfolded.
A much-anticipated meeting between US President-elect Donald Trump and current incumbent Joe Biden. Trump was warmly greeted by outgoing President Joe Biden as they shook hands in the Oval Office. The meeting was part of a traditional transition meeting that didn't happen in 2020. In a way, Biden was seen restoring a tradition that Trump broke when he refused to recognize his 2020 defeat against Biden. The meeting comes after a confrontational election campaign in which Biden dropped out following his disastrous debate performance against Trump.
Well, Mr. President-elect and former President, thank you. Donald, congratulations.
Thank you.
And looking forward to having a, like we said, smooth transition. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need. And we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So
good.
Welcome
Thank you
back.
very much. And thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's in many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much. A transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Joe.
You're welcome.
The pair also discussed the Ukraine and West Asia conflicts. Biden argued support for Ukraine was good for US national security, as a strong and stable Europe would keep America from being dragged into war. While Trump has pledged to end the Russia-Ukraine war quickly, the two American leaders sat side by side before a roaring fire in the White House Oval Office, a peaceful scene that belied tensions between them. Antra Sinha for DD India.
US President-elect Donald Trump on Wednesday nominated former Democrat Tulsi Gabbard as his incoming Director of National Intelligence. Tulsi Gabbard has questioned the credibility of US intelligence and denounced successive presidents over military interventions. Now she's been asked to serve by Donald Trump and lead the US intelligence. A report.
She is a leading Hindu figure in US politics. Her father, born in American Samoa, continues to serve in the Hawaii State Senate and remains a Democrat. Gabbard's mother embraced Hinduism and raised her children in the tradition. Gabbard's first name, Tulsi, is a sacred plant in Hinduism. She is a lifelong vegetarian and swore her oath to enter Congress on the Bhagavad Gita. Gabbard got married in a Hindu ceremony to a Hawaii based cinematographer, Abraham Williams. She is an ardent supporter of India's popular Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Like few others in US politics, Gabbard defies simple party categorization, a war veteran who denounces war, a Democrat turned Republican, and now an establishment skeptic sent to head part of it. Gabbard has direct experience with war, having served in Iraq with the Army National Guard of her native Hawaii. In 2022, she announced that she was exiting the Democratic Party. Her strident tone led critics to believe she was auditioning for roles in a future Republican administration. This view was reinforced when she appeared beside Trump in his latest campaign and announced she was becoming a Republican.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has agreed to end his term earlier, calling for a vote of confidence next month and announcing that the election will be held in February 2025, 7 months before the elections were originally scheduled. In the first speech since the coalition collapse, he urged that Germany must not become as divided as the USA is at the moment. For more on what this means for the German economy, we have Varda Imran joining us from Berlin. Varda, let's start by talking about the budget and debt issues that caused this collapse. Has there been some progress since?
Thanks for having me. Chancellor Scholz addressed the parliament and faced a lot of questions from the conservative majority in the parliament. One point was aid for Ukraine. This has been a pressure point because multiple parties, including the far-right AfD party, have called for a suspension of military aid to Ukraine. This was also an issue when discussing budget and debt because Olaf Scholz, as he said to the parliament, Germany wants to support Kiev but not at the expense of German prosperity. There's also the issue of passing the 2025 budget, which has been in deadlock for months. Scholz and his minority government is looking for partners in the parliament who can help him pass important legislation, including the budget. The debt break is still something there is no consensus on. Different parties have different approaches and takes. But Friedrich Merz, the man who many say is slated to be the next Chancellor of Germany, has said that this country needs a fundamentally different policy, especially when it comes to security and the economy.
And how are Germans reacting to all these political developments, Varda?
Well, there's a lot of mixed feelings. This is how I would describe it. There's a lot of talk about who's responsible for this. Is it the current government? Is it the mistakes made during Angela Merkel's 16-year reign in Germany? Is it caused by blunders after the COVID-19 pandemic? There's definitely many ways of looking at it. People here have already started rallying behind their preferred party, and I think they're ready to go to polls soon. The current government, or the traffic light coalition as they're called here, were deeply unpopular with the citizens here. And it doesn't help that the coalition broke out the same time the US elections were called in favor of Trump. Messy political developments have made the economy weaker. At the moment, leading in opinion polls is the CDU with Friedrich Merz as their chancellor candidate. He is the man who many say will be the next chancellor, and he's of the opinion that Germany needs a fundamentally different policy than it has now.
Thank you, Varda. Varda Imran joining us from DW Berlin. A new climate finance goal emerged on the third day of the UN climate talks in Azerbaijan's Baku on Wednesday, which said that developing countries outside China need at least $1 trillion per year by the end of the decade to move towards greener energy and protect against extreme weather. The issue of climate finance remains at the forefront of COP29. The previous goal of $100 billion annually set in 2009 and intended to be met by 2020 was only reached in 2022, primarily through loans rather than grants, which many recipient nations argue need revisiting. Despite behind-the-scenes negotiations, draft texts released by the United Nations climate body reflect a wide range of views, suggesting challenging negotiations ahead. Wealthy nations have shown reluctance to commit to additional funding unless major economies like China agree to contribute. A report released by the
kind of numbers for the investment. Well, that number for emerging markets and developing economies outside China is 2.4 trillion a year in 2030. Of course, the whole path matters, but in order not to get sort of lost in too many numbers, we focus on 2030 and we point and highlight the number 2.4 trillion as the overall investment needs.
Iran has said that it will never negotiate under pressure and intimidation. It was stated by Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi during his meeting with International Atomic Energy Agency Chief Rafael Grossi in Tehran on Thursday. Grossi has for months sought progress with Iran on issues including a push for more monitoring cooperation at nuclear sites and an explanation of uranium traces found at undeclared sites. But little has come from Grossi's efforts, and with the return of President-elect Donald Trump, who is widely expected to restore a maximum pressure policy on Iran, Grossi's trip should provide indications of how Iran wants to proceed in the coming months, while Araghchi said that Iran will continue their full cooperation with the IAEA. Lebanon's Ministry of Health launched on Thursday a national vaccination campaign against polio, measles and other diseases in cooperation with the UNICEF, the World Health Organization and local partners. Caretaker Health Minister Firas Abiad said that the campaign was part of the ministry's plan to control any epidemics in Lebanon. UNICEF representative in Lebanon, Edouard Big Beda, stressed the urgency of the campaign, noting that nearly 45% of children in the country have not received full immunization.
Very important today that the children get immunized against polio, against measles. As you know, 45% of the children in the country do not receive all the vaccination. And it's important to avoid an emergency within the emergency by having an outbreak.
US, Japanese and South Korean naval forces held joint exercises in East Asian waters on Thursday, their most complex and final joint drills before President Joe Biden hands over one of his signature national security initiatives to Donald Trump. Visiting the USS George Washington carrier, US Ambassador to Japan Rahm Emanuel said that the three-way pact and the resulting military cooperation sent a strong message to Beijing. For Seoul, South Korean Rear Admiral Hur Song-jae, who commanded his country's forces, said the exercise, which came after North Korea last month tested what it claims was an upgraded intercontinental ballistic missile, sent a message to its belligerent neighbor.
If you look at the region and you want to project deterrence, you want to ensure the security of America's interests, it's better to have allies, because remember, in this area and region, we have a lot of allies and China does not. So this is a multi-dimensional, multi-year exercise that all three countries, not three leaders, committed to. It was not tied to the tenure of any one leader of a country. It was tied to a strategic objective of all three nations of projecting deterrence.
Still to come on DD India Live. India's merchandise exports surged in October, marking a 7.28% growth over the same period last year. And in a feat achieved for the first time by any company, Apple's India exports hit record $7 billion in 7 months.
Goa, a wild nature paradise, where over a third of the state remains wild today, and every corner is full of surprises. Goa's forests evolve through the seasons. Insects and crocodiles flourish in the monsoon, butterflies in the months after the rains subside, and in the winter, the jungle transforms into a haven for birds. Oh, there's a female right next to him. Oh my God, is that 8 otters? That's one of my favorite things about these forests. There are still so many secrets out there. Watch postcards from Goa on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I am Tanvi Taneja. The Commonwealth of Dominica is set to acknowledge India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi with its most prestigious national accolade, the Dominica Award of Honour. This recognition is in acknowledgement of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's significant contributions to Dominica during COVID-19 pandemic, as well as his efforts to enhance the bilateral relationship between India and Dominica. The award ceremony will occur at the India-CARICOM Summit, which is scheduled for November 19th to 21st in Georgetown, Guyana, with the President of Dominica, Sylvanie Burton, presiding over the event. In February 2021, the Indian government, under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, provided Dominica with 70,000 doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. The award acknowledges India's broader support for Dominica in areas such as education and information technology. Additionally, it highlights India's role in promoting initiatives focused on climate resilience and sustainable development on a global scale. Earlier this year, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi received Russia's highest state award, the Order of St. Andrew the Apostle, for his outstanding efforts to promote partnership and friendship between India and Russia. Prime Minister Modi is the first Indian leader to be conferred with this award. We now take a look at how India's Prime Minister has been honoured across the world.
On Tuesday, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi officially received Russia's most prestigious civilian honour, the Order of St. Andrew the Apostle. The award recognises PM Modi's distinguished contribution to developing a privileged strategic partnership between Russia and India and fostering friendly ties between the two countries.
ये सम्मान केवल मेरा सम्मान नहीं है। यह 140 करोड़ भारतवासियों का सम्मान है। यह भारत और रूस की सदियों पुरानी गहरी मित्रता और आपसी विश्वास का सम्मान है।
The latest award is another feather in his cap. Over the years, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been honoured by countries and organisations worldwide for his exceptional leadership and contributions. Some of these awards include: on March 22, 2024, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was conferred the Order of the Druk Gyalpo, Bhutan's highest civilian decoration, by the King of Bhutan in a public ceremony at Thimphu. On 25th August 2023, the Indian Prime Minister was conferred with the Grand Cross of the Order of Honour by President Katerina Sakeleropoulou of Greece. On July 13, 2023, PM Modi was conferred with France's highest award, the Grand Cross of the Legion of Honour in Paris. On June 25, 2023, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi conferred the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi with its highest civilian honour, the Order of the Nile in Cairo. On May 22, 2023, PM Modi was conferred the highest honour of Fiji, the Companion of the Order of Fiji, in recognition of his global leadership. On December 21, 2020, the US President Donald Trump conferred the highest decoration, the Legion of Merit, degree Chief Commander, to PM Modi. The Legion of Merit is the highest degree of the Chief Commander and is a prestigious award conferred by the US President. On August 24, 2019, PM Modi was conferred the King Hamad Order of the Renaissance during his visit to Bahrain in recognition of his efforts to strengthen bilateral relations with the Gulf nation. On August 24, 2019, PM Modi was honoured with UAE's highest civilian award, the Order of Zayed, in recognition of his pivotal role in building the strategic relationship between the two countries. On June 8, 2019, PM Modi was conferred with the Maldives' highest honour, the Rule of Nishan-Izzuddin, during his state visit to that country. On February 10, 2018, PM Modi was conferred the Grand Collar of the State of Palestine, the highest Palestinian honour for foreign dignitaries. On April 3, 2016, during his visit to Saudi Arabia, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was conferred Saudi Arabia's highest civilian honour, the King Abdulaziz Sash. Apart from the highest civilian honours, PM Modi has also been conferred with several awards by prestigious organisations across the globe. In 2019, PM Modi was conferred the Global Goalkeeper Award by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. The first ever Philip Kotler Presidential Award was given to the Indian Prime Minister in 2019. This award is offered annually to the leader of a nation. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was conferred with the Champions of the Earth 2018 Award for Peaceful Leadership by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Champions of the Earth is the highest UN honour in the field of environment. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was conferred with the prestigious Seoul Peace Prize for 2018. It is awarded biennially to those individuals by Seoul Peace Prize Cultural Foundation who have made their mark through contributions to the harmony of mankind, reconciliation between nations, and to world peace. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a people's leader dedicated to solving their problems and improving their well-being. Fuzail Ahmed's report for DD India.
India's growth story is soaring, with the public sector enterprises market capitalization up by 225% under Prime Minister Modi. At the 12th PSE Summit, Minister Hardeep Singh Puri highlighted India's economic rise, sustainable growth goals and progress in biofuel blending, now reaching 16.9%, aiming for 20% by the year 2025-26. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya reports.
India's growth story is shining brighter than ever. Under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, the total market capitalization of 81 public sector enterprises has surged by an astonishing 225%. Oil Minister Hardeep Singh Puri highlighted this growth, calling it a testament to India's rising status as an economic powerhouse.
The total market cap of all 81 listed PSEs has grown by 225% under the Modi-led government. The government policy of providing a budgetary provision of 19,700 crores for electrolyzers under the PLI scheme, it is quite clear that green hydrogen will succeed in places where there is local demand, there is local production and there is local consumption.
At the 12th Public Sector Enterprise Summit organized by CII on the theme of Viksit Bharat, transforming PSEs into the engines of sustainable growth, Minister Puri engaged with industry captains and professionals. Meanwhile, on the global front, Minister Puri noted that Donald Trump's return to the White House may see a boost in energy supplies to the world market.
The major consuming countries are not likely to face any shortfall of supplies on account of the fact, as I mentioned, that more and more oil is coming onto the market. I mean, the Brazilians who have a production of about 3.3 million barrels a day, they are bringing about 400,000 more barrels per day on the market. And if our assessment is correct that the Americans also will bring another 1 million barrels additional oil on the market, and the Canadians also and others. So I think, and Guyana's in case there. So I think there's going to be more oil available.
On the domestic front, there is another milestone to celebrate. India's biofuel blending rate has now reached 16.9%, putting the nation firmly on track to hit the 20% target set for 2025-26. This progress underscores India's commitment to a sustainable energy future. Tapas Bhattacharya's report, TD India.
As Delhi's air quality worsens, authorities are set to implement tougher anti-pollution measures under Stage 3 of the Graded Response Action Plan GRAP starting tomorrow, that's Friday, after 8 a.m. local time. The heightened restrictions come in response to persistently high levels of particulate matter aimed at reducing carbon emissions and minimizing health risks from pollution. Key actions include a ban on older emission standard vehicles, specifically petrol vehicles under BS3 norms and diesel vehicles under BS4 across Delhi and parts of the National Capital Region. All non-essential construction and demolition activities are also suspended, although projects related to national security, healthcare and critical public infrastructure will continue. Stage 3 measures will also deploy additional mechanized road sweeping and water sprinkling machines to help control dust levels. These emergency steps reflect Delhi's intensified efforts to manage pollution as air quality remains at dangerous levels, underscoring a strong push for immediate environmental relief. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya joins us from New Delhi with more. Tapas, if you could explain us why was the need felt for the government to implement stage 3 of the graded response action plan in Delhi and NCR region?
Well, Tanvi, there are two major reasons. The first is the heightened AQI level. In the last few days, we have seen the AQI level have touched 400 mark consistently. In fact, in places today, places like Anand Vihar, Ashok Vihar, Dwarka, places in Dwarka have touched the 450 mark at the same time. So it was taking cognizance of that, and also the meteorological conditions that is currently prevailing has made it pertinent for the authorities to come up with the GRAP 3 measure. These measures will go a long way in reducing the pollution. In fact, it's expected that in the next few days, the weather condition, the meteorological condition will remain the same, and thus this need was felt to implement the GRAP 3 measures, as was mentioned in the story, that all those construction activities, mining activities, as well as literally the taking off the BS3, BS4 vehicles off the road in Delhi and NCR. And I'm not talking about just Delhi, I'm also talking about Delhi-NCR as well. These measures will kick in from 8 a.m. tomorrow, that is Friday, and it is expected to give a sigh of relief to all the Delhiites as well as people residing in NCR who have been suffering a lot with the spike in the AQI level.
All right, thank you very much, Tapas Bhattacharya, with those updates from New Delhi. India's cumulative exports from April to October 2024 reached $468.27 billion, marking a 7.28% growth over the same period in 2023. Merchandise exports in October 2024 were valued at $39.20 billion, up 17.23% from October 2023. Total merchandise exports from April to October stood at $252.28 billion, showing a growth of 3.18%. Non-petroleum exports for October rose significantly by 25.63% to $34.61 billion. Cumulative non-petroleum exports hit $211.34 billion with a 7.34% increase. Non-petroleum, non-gems and jewellery exports in October jumped 27.68%. Breaking all previous records of smartphone exports, Apple's iPhone exports touched around $7 billion in the first 7 months of the current fiscal. The milestone follows the smartphone production-linked incentive scheme announced in 2020, after which Apple began shifting its manufacturing to India. Apple is not just exporting iPhones 14, 15 and 16 from India, but for the first time is also exporting Pro and Pro Max models after it started producing iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max locally in October this year. And next we take a look at what else is making news around the world. A new home test for the HPV virus aims to reduce cervical cancer cases in Norway, where 300 women are diagnosed each year. Up to 90 women die annually from the disease. The test can be done privately at home or with assistance at a doctor's office. The Norwegian Cancer Registry estimates that 200,000 women have not been tested in over a decade. Philippine Coast Guard personnel conducted rescue operations in the northern province of Cagayan on Thursday as Typhoon Osagi battered the region. Typhoon Osagi is the fifth storm to hit the country in 3 weeks and forced thousands of residents to remain in evacuation centers. Brazilian police identified the alleged suicide bomber who attempted to enter the Supreme Court on Wednesday night as a former city council candidate. Officials reported the suspect detonated an explosive, killing himself after trying to access the court building. The blasts come just days ahead of the G20 summit in Rio de Janeiro. You're with us on DD India Live, still to come on the show. 43rd Annual India International Trade Fair begins in New Delhi with the theme Viksit Bharat at 2047. And President Draupadi Murmu interacts with school students on the occasion of India's Children's Day.
Our habitats are turning into concrete jungles, and that is concerning. But there is hope even in this grim reality.
Our rivers are like lifelines. They are spaces for humans, for biodiversity. And yes, we have neglected them so far, but really that's an opportunity for us to restore them to their natural conditions.
We now have species that can adapt by conserving the water they have instead of letting it evaporate and being easy to care for.
We have always been farmers in my family. We used to do chemical farming with hybrid seed varieties. But now, we have switched to organic farming with natural seeds.
This embankment will be removed and the river will be widened to cover the grassland up to the wider flood embankments on both the Swiss and Austrian side.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I am Tanvi Taneja. The President of India, Draupadi Murmu, interacted with the school students from different schools on the occasion of Children's Day on 14th November 2024 at Rashtrapati Bhavan Cultural Centre. The President of India, calling the children the future of India, said that it is the youth and the children who will realize the dream of a developed India possible by 2047.
बच्चे देश के भविष्य होते हैं। बच्चों को इंटरनली एक्सटर्नली सजाना संवारना टीचर्स का, पेरेंट्स का, देश का प्रत्येक नागरिकों का दायित्व होता है। इसीलिए आज के दिन सबके लिए, केवल बच्चों के लिए नहीं, सबके लिए, देशवासी के लिए भी बहुत महत्वपूर्ण दिन है। ये केवल बाल दिवस हम केवल एक दिन मनाते हैं। मुझे लगता है बाल दिन सभी 365 दिन बाल बच्चों का होना चाहिए।
Campaigning is in full swing for the assembly elections in Maharashtra. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed multiple rallies in Maharashtra with less than a week to the assembly polls in the state. Prime Minister Modi attended a public gathering in Raigad district, Panvel, and another in Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar city of Maharashtra. Speaking at the rally, Prime Minister Modi slammed Congress for believing in division and not development.
कांग्रेस सोच रही है कि ओबीसी जातियों में बटेगा तो उसकी ताकत कम हो जाएगी और जब समाज की ताकत कम हो जाएगी तो कांग्रेस को बैठे बैठे ही फायदा मिल जाएगा। यही से कांग्रेस के लिए सत्ता में वापसी क्या मौके की तलाश चल रही है और जैसे ही कांग्रेस को सरकार में आने का मौका मिला तो वो एससी, एसटी, ओबीसी का आरक्षण रोक देंगे। इसलिए एससी, एसटी, ओबीसी को इन साजिशों का शिकार नहीं होना है और इसलिए भाइयों बहनों हमें जागरूक रह करके एकता को बल देना है, एकता की ताकत को बढ़ाना है, एकता के मंत्र को जीना है और इसलिए हमें याद रखना है हम एक हैं तो सेफ है.
In the eastern state of Jharkhand, political campaigning is gaining momentum as the state prepares for the second phase of assembly elections. India's Home Minister Amit Shah held public rallies in Giridih and Bokaro. During the rallies, Home Minister of India attacked the JMM-led state government and Congress party for looting the people of the state. He claimed that the BJP is confident of forming the government in Jharkhand. The second phase of polling is set for the 20th of this month, with votes to be counted on November 23rd. Minister of State for Information and Broadcasting L. Murugan today held meeting to review preparations for the International Film Festival of India in Panaji, Goa. Officials from the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Goa, government officials, Entertainment Society of Goa officials and other agencies involved in the arrangement of IFFI participated in the meeting. During the meeting, preparations of IFFI venues, events during IFFI, traffic arrangements, security arrangements, hospitality arrangements and media plan were discussed in detail. After meeting Minister Murugan, various officials, Mr. Murugan visited IFFI venues. IFFI is scheduled to be held from 20th to 28th of November. The 43rd India International Trade Fair is back in the national capital. The fortnight-long global trade fair brings 11 countries and over 3,500 exhibitors to showcase their art and culture. Vision Bharat 2047 is the theme for this year's fair. DD India's Arnold Thomas reports.
The 43rd India International Trade Fair commenced at Bharat Mandapam, featuring over 3,500 exhibitors from India and abroad. This 14-day event is expected to draw around 100,000 visitors daily, with footfall rising by almost 50% to 150,000 visitors on the weekend. The theme for this year's fair is Developed India at 2047.
This year there are about 10 unique features of the IITF 43rd version 2024. It is designed around the Honorable Prime Minister's theme of Viksit Bharat, India at 2047. So this year, it is the largest ever participation which we have achieved so far. Almost all the states and union territories are participating, and this has happened only this year. Apart from this, the Bharat Mandapam complex is fully made operational and fully utilized for IITF for the first time.
The event will also see participation from 33 states and UTs and 49 central ministries. Bihar and Uttar Pradesh are the partner states, while Jharkhand is the focus state this year. 11 countries are also participating in the fair.
The annual event of prestigious IITF has a great significance to show a diverse range of products, services and technology from India and the world. Jharkhand, the land of natural resources and tribals, is going to be part of the IITF scheduled this year at Pragati Maidan, New Delhi as a focus state. This year, Jharkhand is participating in the IITF to showcase its rich culture and heritage. It gives me immense pleasure to extend my invitation to all the visitors to visit Jharkhand Pavilion.
The business days for IITF 2024 are scheduled from November 14th to 18th. Trade fair will be open for general public from November 19th to 27th. Anil Thomas, DD India, New Delhi.
Dr. V.K. Paul, member Health Niti Aayog, inaugurated Ministry of Health and Family Welfare's Health Pavilion at the 43rd IITF at Bharat Mandapam today. During his address, he said that the vision of Prime Minister towards Viksit Bharat also involves attaining the vision of Niramay Bharat.
दर्शाते हैं कि जो मच्छर से होने वाली बीमारियां हैं उसको कैसे बचा जाए, ये भी दर्शाया हमने कि एनीमिया, खून की कमी होना कितनी खराब एक स्थिति है, पता भी नहीं चलता है, उसके बारे में जागरूकता है, परिवार नियोजन के बारे में जागरूकता है, मेंटल हेल्थ के बारे में, ओरल हेल्थ के बारे में, इन सब बातों को यहाँ दर्शाने की कोशिश की गई है.
Let's now take a look at other stories making news in India. The Indian Air Force is gearing up to showcase its skills at the Bahrain International Air Show held at the Sakhir Air Base from November 13th to 15th. The highlight will be the Sarang helicopter team, set to captivate audiences with their stunning aerial display. India's Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu Kinjarappu launched demo seaplane operations at the Umayam Lake in the northeastern state of Meghalaya on Thursday, alongside Chief Minister Conrad K. Sangma. The minister toured the scenic landscape in an amphibian aircraft and reviewed plans to expand the Umroi airport for larger aircraft, aiming to enhance connectivity to Shillong. India's Defence Research and Development Organization has successfully completed flight tests of the guided Pinaka weapon system as part of Provisional Staff Qualitative Requirement Trials conducted across 3 phases at different field firing ranges. The tests evaluated key parameters like range, accuracy, consistency and salvo mode engagement. 12 rockets from each production agency were tested using upgraded in-service Pinaka launchers. Northeastern state of From November 14th to 18th, the major events are planned in Majuli, Hauli and Charai Dev. They will feature unique performances, including an all-female artist troupe. Hauli's 97th Ras Mahotsav begins November 15th. India observes 15th November as Janjatiya Gaurav Divas, that is dedicated to the memory of brave tribal freedom fighters. The date is the birth anniversary of Bhagwan Birsa Munda, who fought bravely against the exploitative system of the British colonial system and spearheaded the movement against British oppression, giving a call for revolution. Ahead of the Janjatiya Gaurav Divas, India's President Draupadi Murmu is addressing the nation on the occasion. So, Janjatiya Gaurav Divas, it is India's day celebrating its tribal heritage, and India's rich cultural diversity is largely shaped by its tribal communities who have played a crucial role in nation's history and development. So, November 15th in India is observed as the Janjatiya Gaurav Divas, that is dedicated to the memory of its brave tribal freedom fighters. The date is the birth anniversary of Bhagwan Birsa Munda, who fought bravely against the exploitative system of the British colonial system and spearheaded the movement against British oppression, giving a call for revolution. Ahead of the Janjatiya Gaurav Divas, India's President Draupadi Murmu is going to address the nation shortly. Of course, we know that the occasion highlights the important role of tribal groups of India who have played a pivotal role in advancing nation's progress. And since 2021, Janjatiya Gaurav Divas has been celebrated with great zeal to honor the tribal communities of our country. The tribal communities have their own revolutionary struggles, and they have been marked by immense courage and sacrifice.
My dear fellow citizens, Namaskar, Johar. I convey my greetings to the people of India on the occasion of Janjatiya Gaurav Divas. We are commencing the year-long celebration of the 115th birth anniversary of Dhartiyava Bhagwan Birsa Munda. On behalf of all the fellow citizens, I pay my respectful homage to the sacred memory of Bhagwan Birsa Munda. I observe a new consciousness being spread across the country for tribal pride and the ideals of the Constitution. This consciousness is being transformed into action. This spirit will become the foundation of the bright future of the entire country, including the tribal society. 2 years ago, I had the privilege of visiting Bhagwan Birsa Munda's village Ulihatu in Jharkhand and offering flower tribute to his statue. Last year, on the occasion of Janjatiya Gaurav Divas, Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji also visited Ulihatu and sought the blessings of Bhagwan Birsa Munda. That was the first visit of any Prime Minister to Ulihatu. This made the people of the tribal society very happy. On the same day, PM Janajati Adivasi Nyay Maha Abhiyan, that is PM Janman, was launched from Jharkhand. Dear fellow citizens, since the 18th century, the tribal society had waged organized revolt against the injustices of the British rule. Along with these brave brothers, Sidhu Kanu and Chand Bhairov, who led the Santal Hul in the year 1855, the brave sitters Phulo Jano also showed extraordinary courage. When I was the governor of Jharkhand, I had the privilege of visiting the village Urimari and unveiling the statue of the great heroes Sidhu Kanu. Since the year 2021, the government of India has started the tradition of celebrating Janajatiya Gaurav Divas every year on 15th November on the occasion of the birth anniversary of Bhagwan Birsa Munda. No praise is too high for this decision to express respect for the tribal communities. Many steps are being taken to make the people aware of the glorious contribution of the tribal communities. Museums are being built in various parts of the country in memory of tribal heroes. The Museum of Bhagwan Birsa Munda in Ranchi has become a site of pilgrimage. The museum named Janajatiya Darpan has also been developed in Rashtrapati Bhavan. Dear fellow citizens, I grew up listening to the stories of many tribal heroes from Tilka Majhi and Bhagwan Birsa Munda to Lakshman Naik. But people in general did not know much about those great heroes. Due to the efforts of the government, people have now become well acquainted with the stories of tribal freedom fighters. For ages, people of tribal society have been enriching the civilization and culture of our country. The eternal life values of our society are visible in the story of Ramayana. During his long exile, Prabhu Sri Ram lived with the people of the tribal society like one of them. Prabhu Sri Ram adopted the forest dwellers and the forest dwellers adopted Prabhu Sri Ram. This spirit of affinity and harmony found in the tribal society is the basis of our culture and civilization. Dear fellow citizens, I am happy to share that I also contributed to the efforts to include the tribal language Santali in the 8th schedule of the Constitution. This was made possible during the tenure of respected Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. Even after several decades of independence, most of the people of the tribal communities led their lives with a lot of difficulties due to lack of their own houses and basic facilities like electricity, water and roads. In case of illness, the burden of medical expenses made their life even more difficult. The path to development was also not easy for them. The people belonging to the tribal communities make very beautiful products as they have centuries-old art heritage. There were some laws which banned certain enterprises of the tribal people. Also, lack of information and facilities about marketing their products was an obstacle. Thus, due to the lack of basic needs like housing, transport, medical care, education and employment, those people remained away from the mainstream of development. But now, these facilities are being provided to them. Their standard of living has improved. Along with this, opportunities for economic development are also increasing for them. The present government is taking forward the journey of tribal development and welfare at a fast pace. Many campaigns and programs are being implemented on a large scale. Special measures have been taken to provide all facilities to the tribal people in all national programs of development and welfare. Apart from this, special schemes are being implemented for the benefit of the tribal communities. The people of about 750 tribal groups of the country hold a special place for us. Among these, the number of PVTG groups is 75. They live in different regions of the country. In June last year, I had invited the people belonging to the PVTG communities to the Rashtrapati Bhavan. I spent a lot of time with them and discussed the solutions to their problems. I have been meeting tribal groups from all regions and states in the Rashtrapati Bhavan. During my visits to different states and union territories, I participate in programs focused on the tribal communities there, and I interact with them. I give special priority to meeting our tribal sisters. I am happy to see that a large number of our tribal sisters are achieving economic self-reliance through self-help groups and other means of growth. More and more opportunities for development are opening up for them. It is being ensured that the benefits of major national schemes reach all tribal beneficiaries in a timely manner. The PM Janman Abhiyan launched by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji on the day of Janajatiya Gaurav Divas last year aims to bring about comprehensive development of the people of the PVTG communities. Under this campaign, a target has been set to provide many facilities to the people of the PVTG community before the time limit of 3 years with an expenditure of more than rupees 24,000 crore. This year, on 2nd October, the birth anniversary of the father of the nation Mahatma Gandhi, the central government has launched the Dharti Aba Janjati Grama Utkarsh Abhiyan from the land of Bhagwan Birsa Munda. The objective of this campaign with an allocation of rupees 80,000 crore is to ensure that every tribal person should get the benefit of government schemes. Every tribal village should be connected through roads and mobile connectivity. All tribal families should have their own house. About 63,000 tribal villages will benefit from this campaign of development and welfare. More than 5 crore tribal people will benefit from this nationwide campaign. Dear fellow citizens, more than 700 Ekalabya model residential schools are being built in the country to provide good education to tribal children. I have laid the foundation stones of many Ekalabya schools and inaugurated many other schools. It is a matter of happiness that more than 30 lakh tribal students are getting scholarships. Scholarships are also being given for studying abroad. Youth of tribal society are joining the civil services, medical and engineering and other fields. The target of eliminating sickle cell anemia from the tribal society is included under the goal of building a developed India by the year 2047. It is noteworthy that the allocation of funds for the Development Action Plan for Scheduled Tribes has increased manifold during the last decade. The budget of the Ministry of Tribal Affairs for the year 2024-25 is rupees 13,000 crore. This is 74% more than last year's budget. Our country will become truly developed only when our tribal people also become developed. Fast-paced progress of the people of the tribal communities is our national priority. We want that the centuries-old identities of the tribal communities remain intact, and at the same time, they continue to march ahead on the path of modern development. Dear fellow citizens, I have not only seen the pain and suffering of the tribal society, I have also felt it myself. My journey of public service began as a member of the Tribes Advisory Council. Now I feel happy to observe improvement in the lives of tribal communities. The talented people among the tribal communities are also getting greater recognition. About 100 people from the tribal communities have been honored with Padma Vibhushan, Padma Bhushan and Padma Shri awards during the last 10 years. Governors and chief ministers of many states, ministers in central and state governments, and many people holding high positions are from the tribal communities. The immense love that I get from all the fellow citizens, including the people of the tribal communities, makes me emotional at times. Behind this feeling of mine is also the pleasant truth that today sky is the limit for the development of the people belonging to the tribal communities. No matter how high they aspire to fly, the society and the government are fully committed to supporting them. With this hope and confidence, I congratulate all the fellow citizens on Janjatiya Gaurav Divas. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
That was President of India addressing the nation on Janjatiya Gaurav Divas, dedicated to the memory of brave tribal freedom fighters, to be observed in India on 15th of November. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and the world on our DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.